So here we have the Spec Ops Clone Trooper helmet. This is fresh off the printer. So the first thing we're going to have to do is smooth out these 3D printer lines. If you get close here, you can kind of see they're a little bit rigid, and I don't know if you can hear that, but we're going to have to smooth the helmet out first thing. So what we're going to do is use this Rust-Oleum filler primer. It's kind of like a thicker spray paint. So we're going to spray it over this, and that's going to fill in some of these 3D printer lines for us and smooth the whole thing out. We'll sand it a few times, maybe lay another coat of this stuff, and once we're done, it should be smooth. So just make sure it's all shook up nice. And I usually try and keep it about at least a foot away. You're going to want to make sure and do this outside because this stuff is pretty pungent. Short burst all the way around the helmet. If you look here, you can see it start to fill in some of those lines, and that's what we want. It won't fill them all in the first try, so we'll probably have to do 2 or 3 coats of this stuff mixed in with some sanding, but the finished product is something very smooth. Okay, so we got the first coat on. I'm gonna let this dry for probably half an hour. Then I might come out and do another coat, and then I'll probably sand the whole thing over with some probably 100 grit sandpaper, and then probably do another layer. Repeat that process as many times as you need to get it all smoothed out. For these kind of thicker ridges up here, this stuff doesn't work the best, or I'd have to use I don't know, 10 layers. So we're going to use another product to really smooth out the top here. But this stuff is great for filling in the seams, you know, along some of the smaller ones, along the width and sort of the middle area of the helmet. So yeah, we're going to let this dry, put on another coat, sand it, and we'll be back. So I've got the helmet here. It's been sanded with 150 grit sandpaper and then followed up with 300 grit just to smooth it out. But there's still some lines visible, and around here you can see those. We'll have to fill those in, and you probably won't be able to see all the lines with your naked eye. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a base coating of black. This is going to really highlight some of those lines that still need to be filled. It's also going to give us our base coat if you're going for the multicolored look. So this coat doesn't really need to be complete. You can just do like a light coating, and it's really going to make those lines really visible for us in the next step. So that's pretty much the level that you're looking for. It doesn't have to be totally black, but enough to help us out. So we're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna come back and fill those lines in. So now that the primer is dried, you can see a lot more of the places that need to be filled and sanded some more, especially the top here, and just all the way around basically. For that, we're going to use this Bondo glazing and spot putty. It comes out like toothpaste, and after a few hours it hardens to a point where you can sand it, and that's going to fill in all these lines everywhere, make the helmet all nice and smooth all around. So what I like to do is put a glove on one hand and sort of squeeze it out with one hand where I need it. And wipe it on with my finger, just to keep it all nice and smooth already. It means I have to do less sanding when it hardens. Now this stuff is going to fill in all our seams. It's also going to give us our nice red color if you want to do the multicolored helmet look. We'll just go around, look for places that need a little bit. The lines are showing. You want to be careful not to fill in some of these smaller detail lines with it, because it can be pretty difficult to sand out of there once it's hardened. So just go around your helmet doing that process, and once that dries, we'll sand it off and it should look pretty cool. So I'll be back once I finish going all the way around the helmet, and then we can start sanding. So we've got the helmet fully covered. We're gonna let this dry, and then I'll probably go after with the 150 grit sandpaper. We're gonna sand off the Bondo, the primer under that, and then the gray primer under that, and that's gonna give us our really multicolored look. So I'm gonna let this dry and be back when we sand. So our Bondo's dried, and now we're ready to sand it. We're gonna sand the Bondo off, and then we're gonna hit the black layer, and then underneath that we're gonna hit the gray primer layer. So when we're sanding, it's gonna give this pretty cool multicolored effects when we get down through all the layers. So here I've got a 150 grit sandpaper. That should be enough to get through all 3 layers. So let's see. I'm gonna start to sand. Cloth here. When you wipe it off, it gives this cool, cool color, I think, anyway. So we're gonna do that all the way around the helmet. You guys probably don't want to watch that, so I'm gonna do this off camera and then get back to you. Alright, here's the finished helmet. I followed it up with 320 grit sandpaper just to make it all a bit smoother, and then use that microfiber cloth to clean off all the dust. And I really like how it turned out. You can still see some of the red here from the Bondo, and of course the black and the filler primer underneath. You could change, depending on how much you sand, will determine how your helmet looks. So if you sand more of the red off, then it'll look less red, obviously. And the more you sand it, the more gray you're gonna have. So I wanted this to be mostly gray with accents of red and black. So this is what you get. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video and learned how to make your own multicolored helmets. I've included the original file creators link down in the description, as well as a link to my shop where I do sell prints of this helmet, the original thing that we started with. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.